Welcome back to Feel Good Alcohol Free. If you're new to my world, welcome. My name is Lindsay. I am a sober coach and the host of this podcast. Now, I want you to take a second and actually acknowledge yourself for being here right now. You could be doing anything. You could be scrolling, working, rushing through your day, but instead, you've chosen to set aside time to listen. And that tells me something really important about you. It tells me you care deeply about where your life is headed. It tells me you're not just curious about change, you're actively creating space for it. Because here's the thing, the way you spend your time is a reflection of what you value. And by pressing play on this episode, you're proving to yourself, whether you realize it or not, that your growth, your well-being, and your future matter enough to you to prioritize. That's why I'm so glad you're here today, because what we're talking about has the power to completely change the way you approach your alcohol-free journey and honestly, your life. Now, I want to share something that might surprise you. The women who work with me don't focus on quitting drinking. I know this might be shocking to some of you, but it's the reality of my work with women. The work we do goes deeper than that. And inside Feel Good AF, we focus on becoming the versions of ourselves who don't even want alcohol anymore. There's simply no room for it, no use for it. And here's the magic part. When you start living as her, alcohol just stops making sense. So today I'm going to show you exactly what that process looks like, because it's the opposite of everything you've thought about willpower, rules, or counting days. So let's just dive in today. Here's the problem with focusing on quitting. You've probably noticed this pattern before, either in your own journey or in the stories of other women trying to change their lives or their relationships with alcohol. You set the goal. I'm going to quit drinking. You get rid of the wine in the house. You download the tracker app. You mark the calendar. Maybe you even join a challenge like a dry January group or something. And for a while, you feel good. You're on track. You can count the days and see the progress stacking up. But here's where it gets tricky. One stressful week at work, one fight with your partner, one moment where you just want to shut the world out. And suddenly the thing you've been avoiding, the drink, is front and center in your mind again. And because the focus has always been on not drinking, the moment you think about it, you feel like you failed. Here's a piece I want you to take away today. When your only focus is quitting drinking, you're still making alcohol the main character in your story. So think about it. If every day starts with don't drink today and ends with I did or I didn't drink today, you've created a 24/7 scoreboard in your mind. And this is the part of this that is really exhausting. And even worse, it keeps your nervous system in a constant state of vigilance. You're on alert all the time, scanning for temptation, anticipating triggers, monitoring all of your own thoughts. And that's why so many women white knuckle it through the first few weeks or months even, only to eventually give in. Not because they lack willpower, but because living in a constant state of resistance is just not sustainable. Like, it's not going to feel good long term. You can only push against something for so long before you get tired. And when you get tired, the brain does what it's designed to do. It seeks comfort. It reaches for what's familiar. And that's why we need to flip this script entirely. Instead of spending all of your mental and emotional energy on avoiding something, you have to start building a life where the thing that's holding you back simply doesn't fit anymore. This is the moment the women that I coach realize it's not about removing alcohol. It's about adding to create the life you actually want. Imagine you have the energy to start taking night classes to support your career goals, or you wake up feeling guilt-free Saturday mornings and you meet your best friend for a coffee and a walk in the park. When you shift your focus from subtraction to creation, something amazing happens. Your relationship with alcohol starts to change naturally. And not because you're forcing it, but because you're finally living in a way that makes drinking feel irrelevant. Okay, so I want to tell you about a woman that I worked with not very long ago. From the outside, she looked like she was handling life with grace. She has a good career, but was really just wanting something more. She had a strong relationships and the solid reputation as someone who keeps it all together. And if you met her at a party, you'd never guess the storm she was sort of weathering inside. But when she came to me, she was in the thick of one of the most challenging seasons of her life. She had just lost her dad. And on top of the grief, she was navigating all of the stress and responsibility of being the executor of his will. If you've ever had to manage someone's estate, you know it's not just paperwork, it's decision after decision, it's phone call after phone call, and the constant reminders that the person that you love is gone. Her days were full of legal meetings and sorting through belongings and handling financial matters, and every task seemed to pull at a fresh thread of grief. Now, here's what makes her story so remarkable. Up until this point, alcohol had always been her go-to in stressful situations. It wasn't about getting drunk. It was about that temporary softening, that glass of wine to just numb the edges, that little break from the heaviness. But deep down, she knew that every time she reached for it, she was pushing her feelings just a little further down, and they weren't going anywhere. Now, when she joined my coaching space, we made one agreement from the start. She was going to do the hard thing. She was going to sit with the discomfort. Now, if you're listening to this, you might feel that phrase in your body because sitting with your feelings instead of checking out from them, that is the brave work. It's not easy, and I would never try to sell it to you like it is. It's scary and it's hard, but it's what's going to lead you to the clarity and peace you are deeply longing for. Here's the thing, she didn't do it all alone. Every time the urge to take the edge off hit, we walked through it together. We named what she was feeling. We let it pass through her body. We practiced nervous system regulation so those waves of emotion didn't feel like they would drown her. And over time, something incredible happened. She stopped measuring her progress in, days without a drink. And instead, she started measuring it in the moments that she felt present with herself. She built a life she wanted to be present for, one she didn't need to escape from. And the really powerful thing about her story is that the grief didn't go away. Stress didn't magically disappear. She changed. She developed the capacity to face what was in front of her without running from it. And in doing this, she became the kind of woman who didn't want alcohol. And not because she was forcing herself, but because she was too in love with the life she was building. And I want you to see how possible this is for you. And you can also change. This is you. And if you're listening to her story thinking, that sounds a lot like me, you're not imagining it. Let me paint you this picture. You wake up some mornings with that surge of determination. Today's the day. I'm going to handle this. You get ready, you make the coffee, you open your laptop or, get the kids out the door. You've got your day mapped out in your head. Today will be different. By lunchtime, you're juggling emails, client calls, errands, maybe carpool or grocery runs, keeping 100 spinning plates in the air without letting one fall. You're exhausted, but you're still moving. And then by 3 o'clock, the first little whispers start. Oh, just one glass. You deserve it. You've been so good. You're not like those people. And by 5 p.m., you're in the kitchen, you're cooking dinner or you're scrolling your phone and the drink is already poured. And no one would ever guess because you're still showing up, you're still holding it all together, you're still on the PTO list, delivering for clients, checking all the boxes. You're still smiling in the photos, but inside, you're tired. And not just physically tired, you're mentally tired. Tired of the constant mental gymnastics. Should I? Shouldn't I? Maybe I'll just have one. But I already opened the bottle. I'll start again Monday. The old start again Monday. You're tired of waking up thinking, I swore today would be different. Tired of breaking promises to yourself and then wondering if you're just destined to stay stuck here. Look, I need you to hear this. This is not because you don't have willpower or some discipline. It's not because you're one of those people who can't get it together. You've been playing a game where these rules and beliefs were stacked against you from the start. You didn't think about how this is a rewire of your brain and a change of identity that's been running the show. Nobody has showed you how to handle stress, boredom, grief, or loneliness without something in your hand, because that's what we were taught growing up. Nobody has taught you how to make alcohol irrelevant because you've built a life so aligned, so rich, so yours that it just doesn't make sense anymore. And that's exactly why my work exists. You need a space where you're seen without shame and given the tools and beliefs to walk into the identity that you've been trying to reach for years. When women just like you step into my coaching, the first thing they feel is relief. Relief that they're not the only one. Relief that there's nothing wrong with them. Relief that this change doesn't have to happen through white-knuckling and willpower. They start to realize that the problem was never alcohol. It was the role alcohol played in the life they'd built. And once they start building differently, alcohol loses its place. They watch other women a few steps ahead talk about the exact same struggles they've had, and then share how different life feels now. Things like, I went to the wedding and didn't even notice the champagne. I finally had that hard conversation with my partner, and I did it completely sober. I woke up on my dad's birthday this year and didn't drink through the grief. I let myself feel it, and I'm really proud of that. And at that moment, they start to believe it's possible for them too, because what this is about is waking up every day feeling proud of the way you're living. So here's where you come in. If you've been listening to this and seeing yourself in every line I've just said, this is like your mirror moment. You can't unhear it, you can't unsee it, and you can't unknow the fact that there's a different version of you waiting on the other side of this choice. So before your head hits the pillow tonight, I want you to take one small action. I want you to write down one sentence about the woman you want to be a year from now. Not a paragraph, not a list, just one sentence. It could be, a year from now, I'm the woman who wakes up proud every morning. Or a year from now, I'm the woman who doesn't even think about drinking anymore. Or maybe this one, a year from now, I'm the woman whose evenings are peaceful and present. And if you want me to hold that with you, send it to me. DM me that sentence on Instagram or send me an email. Let me see it. Let me know you're listening. Because the moment you share it, you've already taken your first step toward her, toward this version of yourself that you're becoming. And that's the thing about change. It starts with a decision, and you are about to make one. So if we're not focusing on quitting drinking, what exactly are we focusing on? We're focusing on her, the version of you who wakes up proud, not panicked, the version of you who handles stress without needing a glass in her hand, the version of you who knows what she stands for and lives in alignment with it. It's about building your future identity now in small intentional steps until she becomes your default. Okay, the next few minutes, I am going to ask you some questions about future you. And I'll share some of my own answers so you can get a feel for what I'm asking you to do. Of course, you can pause this as you go, or you can think about these after you listen to the episode. But let yourself really visualize who it is that you want to become. It's a 4-step practice. So let's go. Step 1, you're going to define her. Step 2, you're going to audit your current life through her lens. And step 3, start with one anchor habit. And step 4, live as if you're already her. All right, so let's go. I'm going to talk about step 1. First, you have to get crystal clear on who she actually is. Not just she doesn't drink, because that's not an identity. That's just one behavior. Ask yourself, what's her morning like? Does she wake up to sunlight or an alarm? What's her energy like when she walks into her kitchen? How does she feel about her work, or her relationships, or her own body? What hobbies or passions light her up? How does she deal with hard days? You need details. Your brain can't create what it can't picture. For example, I wanted to wake up naturally every morning and have time and space for my mind to ease into the day. I also wanted and decided that exercise was non-negotiable for me in the morning because I had already figured out it was my number one stress management tool. I wanted to wrap up work for the day and head into my kitchen, curious about what masterpiece I'd make for dinner because these things were exciting to me. I wanted to process hard days through reflection. I didn't want to feel defensive anymore, and decompressing each day through reflection gave me that. My drinking always heightened my defensive behavior. So, see, you can kind of picture it like when I'm saying it out loud to you. Now, think about what your answers are. Okay, the next one is audit your current life through her lens. Once you have this vision, hold it up against your current reality. Look at your habits. Which ones would she keep? Which ones would she leave behind? Like, what do we need to shed here? Relationships. Who energizes her and who drains her? Environment. Is her space peaceful and supportive, or is it cluttered and chaotic? Self-talk. Does she speak to herself with kindness or criticism? This is a big one. This is where you identify the gaps, and not with shame, just with curiosity. There's no judgment here. What do we need to let go of? What do we need to carry on with? Now, the third step is start with one habit. Here's the part so many of us get wrong because we try to change everything overnight, and that is a recipe for burnout. Instead, pick one habit that future you already does consistently. She's grounded and clear-headed. Maybe she starts her day with a walk or a little writing in the morning. If she's connected to herself, maybe she has an evening wind-down routine that doesn't involve a drink. If she's confident, maybe she wears clothes that reflect that energy. The goal isn't to avoid alcohol. It's to fill your life with habits, people, and environments that make alcohol irrelevant. Okay, step 4, my favorite step, live as if. Every day, ask yourself, what would she do in this situation? And then do it. Even in the smallest way possible. The fastest way to become this version of yourself is to live as if you are already her. I know this saying is fake it until you make it, but there is nothing fake about allowing yourself to live in alignment. Learning isn't the same as faking. Let's talk a little bit about stepping into your new identity. If you're in a safe place, maybe you're at home sitting or on a quiet walk, go ahead and close your eyes. If you're driving, just keep listening and picture this in your mind, or pause this and do this part later. Take a slow, deep breath in and then exhale, and let your shoulders drop away from your ears and let your jaw soften and unclench. Now picture yourself waking up tomorrow morning, not as you are today, but as her, the version of you who no longer needs alcohol. See the morning light coming into the room. Notice how rested your body feels. Feel your feet touch the floor as you stand up. There's no heaviness, no what did I do last night, no mental fog. You walk into your kitchen, maybe there's coffee brewing, maybe the house is still quiet. You take a deep breath in, and it feels like space has literally opened up inside your chest. Now see yourself moving through your day as her. She's handling challenges, she's making decisions, she's laughing. There's an ease to her. You can feel it in her face, in her posture, in her energy. I want you to notice, how is she standing? What is she wearing? What's the look in her eyes? Now picture her turning to look at you. The you who's listening to this right now. She smiles, she's proud of you, and she says, I know you can do this because I am you. You've just been waiting to let me out. Take a moment and ask her, what's one thing you did that helped you become this version of yourself? And whatever the answer is, hold on to it because that's your starting point. When you're ready, take another deep breath and open your eyes. And this is the power of visualization. It's not wishful thinking. It is a neurological rehearsal. Every time you see her, feel her, and act like her, you're making it easier for your brain and body to adopt her as your default. Okay, let's normalize this change a little bit. When you've been stretching yourself, showing up differently, making decisions from a higher place, your brain is going to notice and it's going to say, hold up. This is unfamiliar. Let's just slip back into what we know. It's not a sign that you can't do this. It's a sign you've been doing exactly what you need to be doing. You're growing. And here's the thing. Growth does not feel smooth. It doesn't always feel inspiring. Sometimes it feels awkward, clunky, and exhausting. In those moments, the comfort zone starts whispering to you. For some women, that whisper sounds like, just one glass, you've been so good. For others, it might sound like, why are you even doing this? You were fine before. But that whisper isn't telling you the truth. It's just trying to get you back to normal, back to the life that doesn't require change. And here's where I want you to imagine something with me. Just like you, the women who hire me aren't starting from rock bottom. They're smart. They're capable. They're holding it all together. Jobs, families, responsibilities, while quietly wrestling with the one habit they can't outplan, outwork, or outdiscipline. And when they first step into my coaching, they often carry two big fears. One, what if I'm the only one here who doesn't have it all figured out? Or what if this doesn't work for me? So here's what happens next. They show up to that first call or that first group session and they realize instantly they are not alone. They hear another woman say the exact thought they've been too ashamed to speak out loud. They see someone a few steps ahead talking about how she now handles stress without reaching for a drink. They watch women celebrating moments like, I went to the wedding and didn't even think about the champagne. Or, I had the hardest week at work and still honored my evening ritual. I walked past the wine aisle and felt nothing. And something clicks. They realize this is possible for me too. The energy in that room is electric, and not because it's a pep rally, but because it's a space where real transformation is happening in real time. Women are not hiding their truth here. They're not sugarcoating. They're saying, this is where I struggled this week, and here's how I came out the other side. And the thing is, they're not doing it alone. They're doing it together. When one woman shares her win, it raises the bar for everyone else. When someone shares a hard moment, she's met with belief, not judgment, and that belief starts to seep into her own self-concept. Okay, just like you, these women have had moments where they've slipped. But inside this room, those moments don't spiral into shame. They get unpacked, understood, and turned into fuel for the next win. They learn to read those moments for what they are, signs they've been stretching, evolving, living outside their old limits. And instead of retreating, they step forward with even more clarity. Over weeks and months, you can see the difference. Shoulders drop, eyes brighten, laughter comes easier. There's a steadiness in their voice that wasn't there before. And it's not because they've been perfect. It's because they've been supported while becoming the kind of woman who no longer needs alcohol to feel okay. Okay, this is why this matters for you. If you're listening to this right now, and maybe you've had a setback, big or small, there's something I want you to know. It doesn't mean that you've lost your progress. It means you've been doing the work that triggers growth. And growth is messy AF. But here's the difference between the women who turn that messy growth into lasting change and the ones who keep cycling back. The ones who succeed put themselves in the right room, a room where someone's got eyes on their blind spots, a room where they can borrow belief until they've built their own, a room where setbacks aren't the end. They're the evidence that you are becoming her, that version of yourself that you so desperately want. Because here's what I know after coaching so many women through this. When you try to do this alone, a setback can feel like the end of the world. When you do it in the right room, it's just another Tuesday and the day you come back stronger. If you can feel yourself craving that kind of space, the kind of space where you're surrounded by women who get it, who are walking the same path, who are already living parts of the life that you want, it's time to stop listening from the outside. It's time to step into the room. Because the moment that you do, you'll start to see what's possible for you in a way you can't unsee. And once you've seen it, alcohol just stops making sense. Okay. Are you going to step into this version of yourself today? Here's the thing. You can keep doing this the hard way, trying to be stronger, trying to just stop, keeping it all in your head, or you can decide right now that you deserve to become her with ease, support, and a room full of women who will not let you forget who you're becoming. If you've been listening and nodding along, if you've been picturing yourself in the stories that I've shared today, this is your sign to stop trying to do this in isolation. The women inside my Feel Good AF coaching are just like you. They got tired of managing this on their own and they stepped into a space designed for them to succeed. Inside, you'll have structure, belief, and strategies that make your growth sustainable so that you don't keep circling back to these old habits. You'll have women who celebrate every single moment that you choose your self-trust over self-abandonment. And you'll have me in your corner, walking you through the messy middle and into the version of you who simply doesn't need alcohol, like, period, anymore. If you're ready, the links to join are in the show notes, and you can always DM me on Instagram or send me an email to see how this would look in your life. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you for one quick favor. If this episode resonated with you, if it gave you a new perspective or little spark, I'd love it if you could take 10 seconds to rate and review the podcast wherever you're listening. Not only does it help me know what's landing for you, but it also helps other women who are right now feeling exactly how you felt, find the show and get the support that they need. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We've got so much more to cover, and I don't want you to miss a thing. You are doing this. You're not behind, and you are so much closer to becoming her than you even realize. I believe in you, and I will see you next time.